Brett, how likely do you think it is that the college football season starts on time?
I don't think it's going to happen. I know that, today Missouri's interim chancellor has said that they plan to come back and have students on campus in the fall. I hope I'm wrong, first of all, but I just think it's unlikely that all of the major university presidents will determine that their student bodies will come back to campus. And so if that's the case, even if you just think about the Power 5 schools, there's 65 of them. What if, you guys are in Big 12 and SEC country? What if 3/4 of the schools in the Big 12, 7 or 8 come back and 2 don't? What if, 10 of the SEC schools come back and 4 don't? What are those conferences going to do? Are they going to play without the members that don't have the students on campus that won't be able to play football? Or do they band together and say, you know what, we're going to wait with everybody and play in the spring? I don't know the answer to that. I've asked various people from all different, there's 10 conferences. I've asked people from all the conferences that scenario, and they're like, we have no idea what would happen in that case. So I think it's unrealistic that all 65 Power 5 schools, certainly all 130 FBS schools, all those campuses will bring back their students on campus. So that's why I think it's probably more likely that the season will get delayed. Does it get delayed until October, November, or maybe even pushed back to the spring? Obviously, we don't know until we get the all clear from the government and or health officials.
Well, my opinion would be you can't ask the guys to play if you don't have the general student population on campus. Is that the reality staring everybody in the face right now? There's not going to be football unless there are students on campus?
Right. Bob Bowlesby, the Big 12 commissioner, has said that. Craig Thompson, the commissioner of the Mountain West, has said that. I think all the commissioners agree on that. When I did a survey a couple weeks ago with another survey with the athletic directors, there were actually some athletic directors that were in favor of trying to have a football season, even if the student body was not on campus. That if it would be, obviously if safety and health, if there were no safety or health concerns with the student athletes, then you could bring them back, kind of quarantine them, I think similar to what the NFL ends up doing. Some ADs favored that. Then again, some ADs felt just as strongly the other way, that no way that we would allow this to happen. And since then, you've had a number of the conference commissioners come out and say, absolutely not. If the student bodies are not on campus, we will not be having college athletics. So that's why it's so critical to find out if these schools will allow the student bodies back on campus in the fall, or if they're only going to do online classes only.
Brett McMurphy joins us right now on The Game, college football insider for Stadium. So based on the numbers in your story, the majority of ADs do think the season will start in October or November, which did sort of surprise me because it seems like spring is picking up a lot of momentum. Well, why do you think that's where most ADs are falling right now, is October, November?
I think, well, again, and obviously they're guessing like everybody else is, because no one knows, and that's ultimately the bottom line. But I just wanted to try to give people an idea of what the leaders of their athletic departments, were thinking. Some of it is just blind hope. Well, I hope we get back at this time. I hope we get back at that time. I think that a lot of athletic directors, and I think it was 60%, think that the season will start in October, November, are kind of envisioning that maybe the academic, the fall semesters, maybe they get pushed back a month or so, and that would buy even more time, and then you could start the season, a month or two late. And that way you could, in theory, you could play a conference-only schedule, or you could squeeze 12 games in before January 1st, somehow, some way, and keep the season almost as close to it's been in past years. Where obviously if you move it to spring, then a number of challenges you have to overcome head-to-head with the NFL draft, probably a number of high NFL draft prospects probably don't play because of the season. If the NFL draft's going on during the college football season, if I was somebody like that, I probably would not play. But no matter what happens, it's so critical that they get the season in. So I think they're hoping that October and November would work as opposed to spring. But I do know that I talked to multiple sources throughout the industry about what do they think the preference would be between a 9-game schedule in October, starting in October or November, or a 12-game schedule starting in the spring. And they said that the 12-game schedule in the spring would be the preferred model in that specific scenario.
Brett McMurphy from Stadium College Football Reporter is with us here on The Game. I know this is a scary question to ask, but what does a world without a college football season for the upcoming year look like for all of these schools?
Well, I mean, the huge Power 5 universities, they're going to survive. Their athletic departments will survive. They still will be dinged somewhat. I think you'll see Olympic sports eliminated overnight at Power 5 and Group of 5 schools. I think you could see some Group of 5 football programs fold. You could see some FCS programs fold because then they don't have the guarantee games to play that they usually do. I mean, everybody's going to get impacted a different way, and it's not like automatically A, B, and C is going to happen because each school is going to have different decisions to make. When the athletic director walks into the president's office and says, you know what, our football revenue has been slashed 75%, and the president's, well, how are we going to make these millions of dollars up? And they're like, well, one way is we can cut these 4 sports. Well, School A may say, well, you know what, we got to make up the money. We're going to cut these 4 sports. And School B may be, no way, we are not cutting sports no matter what. We're going to make up the money somewhere else. So there's going to be a lot of tough decisions for the presidents and athletic directors if we do not have football at all during the 2021 academic year. But talking to these athletic directors, when I bring up that scenario, the responses I get from them are catastrophic, doomsday, the Great Depression. This will make the 1930s look like a cakewalk. So hopefully we can get a season in some form or fashion and get back to as close to normal as everything was before the virus.